hard to believe the 8th generation Corvette has been out for about 5 years at this point, with a number of higher performance variants coming out over the last couple of years. But the Stingray is not to be overlooked. As always, I'm going to go through this 2025 C8 Stingray convertible from the outside in, talk about what it's like to drive and what it's like to live with. Let's go ahead, take a look. Starting off under the hood, that's a frunk. Hold on. Now with this one being the convertible, the engine isn't quite the crown jewel that it is when you get the coupe. You can get a different cover to make it a little bit more visible, but you still have to have the convertible top halfway up. So, packaging is tough, I get it. But more importantly here, you have a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8. There is no replacement for displacement. And this thing pumps out 490 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. Both of those numbers go up by 5 if you get the performance exhaust, which this one has. And you have a dry sump, which Corvettes have had for the longest time, which is good news if you're taking yours to the track. And controversially, your only transmission option is an 8-speed dual clutch. I know I gotta give a shout out to the manual guys. I wish there was a manual, but the packaging just didn't work for it. But the 8-speed dual clutch is a very, very good transmission. We'll get to that a little bit more when we get to the drive. Now, power goes exclusively through the rear wheels. Now, if you want an electronic limited slip differential, you're going to have to opt for the Z51 Performance Pack, which also gets you some other performance goodies like the tweaked suspension, mag ride, beefed up brakes, summer tires, performance exhaust, and better cooling. The size of the C8 always throws me off. These things are big. I mean, they're not quite as big as like an LC500, but much bigger than an Emira, much bigger than a Cayman, much bigger than a Jaguar F-Type, about 6 inches longer than the outgoing C7. So these things are big cars. Nice big wheelbase too at 107 inches. This one's sitting on 19s in the front, 20s in the back. So you got that staggered setup, as well as wider tires in the back. So you got 245 35s in the front and 305 30s in the back. So nice and beefy for those back wheels since this is rear drive. Got a bunch of different wheel options here as well. This one has the 20 spokes on it, and your rubber is going to be a all-season run flat. It's a Michelin Pilot Sport all-season run flat. Again, unless you get that Z51 Performance Pack, which puts you on summer tires. The Velocity yellow calipers are new for 2025, as is the competition yellow paint. You can also get a Hysteria Purple new for 2025, and Sebring Orange is back. Glad to see more purple cars. I'm glad to see that's making a splash. I don't know what it is. I really like the look of a purple sports car. Big old vents over here for that engine. And note you can color match the trim here. You can color match these. You can color match the nacelles. Actually, the black is an option here for the nacelles as well as for the mirror caps. You get a black roof too if you want, but standard is going to be paint matched. And your door handles are actually hidden underneath here, which is kind of cool. No way to touch to lock here. You do have the proximity unlock and proximity in the passive lock, so you can set it so that if you walk away it'll just lock automatically. But if you don't have that set, then you've got no like touch to lock here. You have to pull out the key and lock it up. Not the end of the world, but just a little note there. These mirrors will power fold when you lock it up. They've got auto dimming, blind spot monitoring. You've got your LED turn signal in here. But note that the auto dimming is only on the driver's side. That does not exist on the passenger side. The front end is nice and aggressive. You got a lot of cooling through here, even though you don't have the engine up here, but still like for the brakes and stuff. You got the cameras option on this one as well as the sensor. So this one's got the front camera as well as the rear camera. So that's what these are poking out here. Really a nice touch, especially if you're parking in a cluttered garage like I am. This one's got the optional black splitter on it as well, with a little Corvette written out up there. LED headlights. You can get racing stripes if you want. Get a racing stripe down the front hood, or you can get the Jake logo if you want. You can do all kinds of customization with the colors and stripes and everything. There's so much you can do with this car. And you can pop the frunk right here from the key fob. Come on. There we go. And there's pretty decent amount of space down here, actually. You get 12.6 cubic feet total from the frunk and from the regular trunk. You can supposedly get a golf bag in each spot, but I've been fine just using the front, honestly, with a bunch of my stuff and just throwing all my camera gear in there. Even got a 12 volt up here, which is a nice little touch, but plenty of space there. And this is soft closed. Didn't realize that the first time. Tried to get my fingers under there because I thought it wasn't closed all the way. Definitely don't want to do that. You're gonna lose a finger. But as of 2024, they made the front and the trunk soft close. Back end looks nice and aggressive as well. I love the look of the tail lights. We got some vents through here as well on the side. These are functional. Those are not blocked off. You got the parking sensors across the back here as well. And again, you got the rear view camera. You got the subtle spoiler optioned. Little Stingray logo. Love that. And some cooling for the engine, a little vent. You can see into the engine a little bit at least, but again, not quite that crown jewel kind of look you get with the coupe. And then you'll note that there's a camera up here. So this is actually your digital rear view mirror. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the interior, but I love that feature on here. You want to pop the trunk, you can do that right here if you'd like. And again, you can get a golf bag in here supposedly. I've been throwing groceries in here. There's actually a lot of space, and the way that it's laid out, the groceries don't like shift around a lot, which is kind of nice. You can get this sueded if you want. You can even get it sueded in red. Same with the front as well. And then this, again, is soft close. We've also got a lot of nice functions on the key fob here. Your standard lock, unlock, and panic. But you can also open the front, open the trunk, and you can even pop the top here. You can't take the top all the way down or all the way up, but you can kind of pop this so you can get to the engine. And then you can also remote start if you want to listen to that quad exhaust. Oh, I love that. And note, when you do want to take the convertible top all the way off or put it all the way back on, you can't be going up to 30 miles an hour. So you can be driving along. It doesn't have to be a complete stop. And they call them a convertible and a coupe, but realistically, they're all kind of convertibles. The coupe version is more of a targa. Targa is just a trademark, but you can pull the top off of the coupe version still. When it comes to getting into the C8, it's low, so you're gonna have to channel your inner yogi a little bit, but thanks to the wide doors, the low sills, and the memory seats and steering wheel, it's actually not too bad. Really, getting down is the only hurdle. Just don't park too close to a wall or a neighbor. Start this up. Right, anyway, this interior is pretty killer. This must have been a packaging nightmare for somebody, but somebody at GM really did a great job. My only issues in here are really pretty nitpicky. And you've got tons of customization. This particular car has the suede steering wheel option with the yellow stitching, the yellow stripe. You got the yellow stitching all around. This one's got the stealth trim, so that's this black stuff instead of the shiny aluminum. This here, blue has been added for the stitching, and habanero has been added for the seats. That's like a orange color. This one being a 3LT, you've got the Napa leather seats with the option of suede or perforated or suede and perforated seat inserts on these GT2s. I feel like I'm back in math class with a jumble of letters and numbers. So GT2 would be the seats that come optionally in the 2LT and standard here in this 3LT versus the GT1s that you get in the 1LT and the 2LT as standard. They need to change these names. They're confusing just saying them out loud. But the GT2s that I have here, basically the difference is going to be you get more cushion, you get carbon fiber, you get Napa leather. It's a little bit of a different styling to it. And these things look great and they feel great. They are aggressive, but they feel quite comfortable. Now, I could stand to lose a couple of pounds in general, but I would fit better if I lost a couple of pounds. So if you're on the wider side, definitely going to want to sit in them and make sure that they work for you. And you do have power adjustability. You got forward, back, up, down, lean forward and back, your standard stuff, plus adjustable lumbar support and adjustable bolsters, which I always love to see. But even at the loosest settings, I'm kind of right at my limit here in terms of the bolstering. Now, if you're a track rat and you want something even more aggressive, then there is a competition seat as well. These are heated, ventilated. I mentioned the memory. They do a really good job of balancing daily use as well as performance driving. Vertically, as you can see, I've got a ton of space. I'm only 5'7", but no problems here, and a lot of space behind me as well. So being tall is not a barrier to entry here. Now, even though technically on the spec sheet, the interior headroom is the same for the coupe and the convertible, it does seem like the coupe eats into the headspace a little bit more. So if you are on the taller side, this is probably going to be the more comfortable choice, this convertible. That stealth option I mentioned blacks out some of the aluminum here. You got this glossy black instead, and you get blacked out speakers instead of those being those shiny bright aluminum speakers. And there's also a carbon fiber trim option. That's the one I'd go for. You got more buttons than a shop full of dress shirts, and I love the way GM put them down the brace. Efficient use of space, less stuff buried in the screen. Absolutely love it. And this transmission tunnel leads back into a wireless charger. You kind of have to dislocate your arm to get to the charger, but you know, the Mira, the LC500, the F-Type, none of those even have a wireless charger, so glad to see it here, even if it is a little tough to get to. Plus, you texters out there, you're going to be less likely to be on your phone, hopefully, if you can't reach it while you're driving. The digital mirror is a great standard feature. I love these things. Sports cars and trucks are where these things belong. Now, no, it only works with the top up because of where the camera is mounted, but when the top's down, your visibility is pretty good anyway. It's kind of tough finding just the right spot where it's not super glary, but once you find it, I love this feature. The infotainment screen is kind of glary too, and that you can't adjust. You need some anti-glare film or something. I love that it's tilted towards the driver, so it's nice and easy to reach, nice and easy to see without taking your eyes too far off the road. Though between the trans tunnel and that being tilted, the passenger really is pretty isolated, and they're going to have a tough time if they want to adjust anything on the screen. But it's a Google-based system, so you've got Google Assistant, you got the Play Store if you want to download apps, but they still have left Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both wireless, connect very, very quickly. So love that they haven't taken that away just because it is a Google system. Everything in here works great. It's nice and quick and easy to use. You can customize the homepage. You can move the icons around if you want. You can move shortcuts around, throw things over there. It really works quite well. You've got your drive mode setting adjustments in there. This one has the optional performance data recorder. You got all your driver's assist, your convenience features, all your memory settings, all your standard stuff, plus nice and easy to go back to the home page. Plus you got this standard knob as well, though you have volume controls on the steering wheel as well as one angled right towards you. Seems a little bit weird. Seems like this should be more for the passenger. Generally speaking, infotainment works great. The digital cluster has a few things you can cycle through, your oil temp, your tire pressure, all the important stuff. You can cycle through all that. I like the simplified view where it kind of clears everything out. You got the nice big tack in the middle, a few different display options in there. I missed analog tacks. I wish I had a nice big analog tack in the middle. But as far as digital clusters go, all good. Looks really nice. And same goes for the heads-up display. Got a couple of different display options for that. You can adjust the position, the rotation. You can adjust what information is in there. You can watch it go 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100 without having to look down. All C8 Corvettes get a Bose sound system, but the base is a 10-speaker. The upper two specs get you a 14-speaker performance series. It's a pretty decent sound system. I mean, 14 speakers in this small space. It's not like super premium, super high quality, but for a car like this, it's going to be kind of loud. It's quieter than expected, but it's loud. Come on, we're on performance tires. It's got a removable top and the engine is right there. I think it'd be tough to justify a super high quality sound system. When it comes to the steering wheel, you've got a new leather cover for the airbag here for 2025, and we've got a lot of buttons going on here for your tuning, your volume, your heated steering wheel. You do have a heated steering wheel on this one. Some of your cluster functions, as well as your cruise control and your custom mode here, the Z mode. Well, there's a My mode as well as a Z mode. Those are two different custom modes. Just the Z mode is a little bit more, you get a little bit more customization than the regular My mode that the car starts up in, and nice big paddle shifters. When it comes to the drive, it's, well, lovely. As always, I've been living with this car, daily driving it, as well as taking it out at night when the roads are empty for some spirited drives, going exactly the speed limit, or in Mexico, one of the two. But either way, it has shined quite well in all situations. The car is quick, as you'd expect from 470 pound-feet, and the throttle mapping is quite well done. Power builds progressively and predictably, like you'd expect from a big old naturally aspirated V8, with your peaks up really high in the rev range. Great excuse to ring these things out. First gear is extremely short, and second is not a whole lot longer. 3 through 6 are where you're going to spend most of your time. 7 and 8 are kind of more just there for efficiency. I think it's geared quite well. When left to its own devices, it does hold onto those lower gears a little bit longer than I expected, especially at low speeds. It'll stay around 3,000 or 4,000 RPM going through a parking lot when you first start it up. It's a little bit aggressive, and if you're really looking for it, when you're sitting in traffic, if you're at very, very low speeds, you get a little bit of a shudder to the transmission as well. I mean, this is a thing that happens with dual clutches in general, especially when you're like sitting in traffic at very low speeds. And I'm getting real into the weeds. You kind of have to be looking for it, and it is nowhere near egregious. I almost didn't mention it, but at $100,000, I feel like that's worth mentioning. Generally speaking, 99.9% of the time, this transmission is excellent. And it gets even more aggressive when you put it into sport or track mode, but you also have control yourself here with the big paddle shifters. It is very, very quick. This thing will give a PDK a run for its money, which is very high praise. Now, with great quickness, you need great stopping power, and these brakes are quite good at the street's limits. If you're going to be taking it to the track, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to the Z51 pack with the beefed up Brembo brakes, but at the limits of the street, these brakes do a very good job. Now, dynamically, I love the balance of a mid-engine car. I love the way it rotates around you. If you're a car enthusiast and you like driving dynamics, you have to experience the dynamics of a mid-engine car. The balance through the corners is excellent. The confidence as the car kind of twists around you through the curves, it's so nice. It's such an experience. Now, I have been able to let the tires loose. If you want to break loose, you absolutely can get these tires loose. But with a mid-engine car, you kind of worry about spinning. That's a big problem. If you lose control, you can go into a spin. With this, I have not had that problem. Anytime I've broken loose, it has always been very controlled. It has always recovered very quickly, very easily. But again, if you're going to be doing heavy canyon carving or a lot of track work, you're definitely going to want to get the Z51 pack. So you get the limited slip diff, the nice sticky summer tires, and you get the tweaked suspension as well, a little bit stiffer, a little bit better for those corners. When it comes to daily driving, it does that quite nicely as well. It's not quite as nice of a ride as like an LC500 or an F-Type, but it still rides pretty smoothly for something that's this low and something that's set up for performance driving. Now, if you are truly going to daily drive this car, you probably want the magnetic ride. Mag ride is magic, and especially if you've got an area with a lot of potholes and rough roads around you, definitely going to want that mag ride. But honestly, I've been commuting in this, and even without the mag ride, it's been pretty nice. I've got about half city, half highway on my commute. You can just cruise. And mixed driving, I'm averaging like low 20s for MPGs, and I'm not babying it when I'm around town. Not babying it on the highway either, but that's pretty decent for a big old naturally aspirated V8. It does have cylinder deactivation, so sometimes it'll go down to 4 cylinders to help with that efficiency. You could tell people you have a 4-cylinder Corvette. Now, the cruise control that this has is not adaptive, and there's no super cruise or anything. It's just regular cruise control, which is a little bit of a strike against it. Even the Amira had adaptive cruise, but it's got blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic. It's got the pedestrian monitoring, the cyclist monitoring. The blind spot with rear cross traffic is not actually standard, though. That's not on the 1LT. That's a little bit surprising, especially in this, like, if you're going to be in this low-down sports car blocked by SUVs and parking spaces all the time on both sides, you're going to want the rear cross traffic. But as long as you're not blocked by giant SUVs and trucks in a parking lot, visibility all around is quite good, actually. You don't expect that in a sports car. You don't expect that in a convertible. And the first time you look over to try to check your blind spot, it's a little bit jarring because there is still that big beefy pillar since, again, it's a convertible. But then you realize the mirrors on the side, the nice long doors with the long windows, there aren't really any actual blind spots. If I'm gonna nitpick on the driving experience a little bit, it's that it's not particularly quiet in here, as I mentioned before. I mean, the engine's right there, big old V8 right behind your head. You got the big beefy performance tires on it, plus they're run flats. Low down to the ground, hardtop convertible. I mean, you don't expect it to be quiet. But it's fine. It's not oppressively loud. I think I could road trip one of these, but it is not quiet by any means. I love that in your driving modes you can set the engine to stealth mode. Something stealth about this car. It's like stealthy like a sledgehammer. That big V8 right there. But overall, I mean, this thing is just lovely to drive in pretty much every situation. At the end of the day, it's pretty wild that this car exists in the space that exists at. I mean, it starts at 70 grand, 77 for the convertible. This one loaded out with the 3LT and a bunch of options on it is still just under 100 grand. That's like a Lotus Emira V6. That's like your starting point for a Cayman GTS. And those just go up from there. Your LC500 is going to cost a lot more than this. This one at the top of its price point is at or below the rest of those. And I really don't have much of anything bad to say about this. This is a great daily driver, especially if you get the mag ride. It's a great performance car as well, especially if you get that ELSD with the Z51 pack. It does everything really well. The engine sounds great. It's quick, it's comfortable. You get a lot of nice features. The interior is packaged really well. The dual clutch shifts very, very quickly. It's very snappy and very responsive. I love the mid-engine design, just the balance of it. If I'm gonna get into the weeds, you know, I do wish that it had a manual transmission, but I do understand with the packaging, they couldn't quite make it work. And the 8-speed dual clutch is very, very good. For the price, I mean, this is a very good value. I really don't have much of anything bad to say about it. I really enjoyed my time with this car. As always, let me know what you think about the C8 Corvette down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.